Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Orange County IDA's Governance Committee. The time is 3:10, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. And could we please get a roll call?
Linda Muller.
Here.
Giovanni Palladino.
Here.
Jeffrey Chris.
Here.
Dean Tamburri.
Here.
Dr. Vincent Odock.
Here.
5 of 5 members. For staff present, Bill Fioravanti, Kelly Riley, and Marty Boras remotely. Our crew from Acquisitions Marketing on AV. We have our state monitor, Mr. Brian Sandvidge, and our general counsel, Lino Sciaretta, here. So,
Excellent. Thank you very much. Proof of notice was done appropriately, and we have proof of notice in our packet. The minutes, I'd like to ask for someone to make a motion to approve the minutes from February 19th, 2025 of the OCIDA Governance Committee meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Giovanni. Have a second? Thank you, Doctor. Any corrections, any discussion regarding the minutes as they've been presented? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, old business, boy, this is like really going on forever. Policy update.
yes. All right, thank you. So we're going to focus on our personnel policy / employee handbook. This is something we've been working on for a while. We think that there are versions that are being kept on record for us by our personnel staffing service, HR services company. There have been amendments to it based upon new policies and such, new laws, but they all haven't been approved by the board. So we want to get it in line. We had it reviewed by one of Lino's partners at Bleakley Platt and Schmidt, Mr. Michael Starvaggi. He had it for a couple of months, did a very comprehensive review, so we have his red line changes, blue line, as you said, in this case. I'd like to go through them. This is 89 pages, so I'm going to very swiftly. I'm going to focus on the changes, not the existing text. I may just touch on a couple ones as we go through. The idea, the objective here is to go through the changes so you have a sense of everything he's added and deleted. Any questions you have for the attorney, anything we need to address, I want to be able to go back to him. Did consider having him online with us, but I didn't want to spend an hour where we're fine-tooth combing it.
And he said he's working with you anyway.
Yes, we did good communication. Yeah, terrific. And he said he would be available to join us as necessary. So I want to compile any questions we have for him, and then we'll make those changes. We can have this committee review, depends on the amount of changes, but we can have the committee review it and bless it in one subsequent meeting. But after that point, whenever it's ready, we want to get it to the full board for adoption. Okay? So I'm going to start to go through. All right. Now there are some pages. For a while there are page numbers, and then they start to fall off. So let's just stay together, and we'll turn the pages together here. So second page, not the cover, about this handbook. He just added some language related to the National Labor Relations Act at the bottom. Okay. After that is the table of contents. You see he added disciplinary action for 214. On the next page he added domestic violence leave section 47. Then we get into the policy itself. Jumping down to equal opportunity employer, he basically added Americans with Disability Act to that, and he restated the discrimination language, basically, is what he did. And he talks about equal opportunity, who it applies to and such, otherwise provided by law. Had that a couple times, and at the bottom, it's an accommodation request for persons with disabilities, so it outlines exactly if somebody needs a special accommodation, how we would consider that. You'll see this many times. It's clear the IDA will not allow any form of harassment or discrimination, basically restated a number of times. Next page for non-harassment and sexual harassment. Please stop me at any time. I'm just going to move quickly unless you need me to stop. Sexual harassment. The next several pages, Mike has taken these out. And he's added completely new language. So the next several pages we go through, you see these are all redlined until we get to page 11. We do have a number there. Purpose and goals. Okay, the purpose is defined here, includes the definition, the types of harassment and discrimination. That's basically what's outlined there. And then at the bottom, goals of the policy, it tells employees what harassment and discrimination looks like, how to report it to the IDA, as well as to the New York State Human Rights Commission and the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission. That's that. Then we have a blank page for whatever reason. Then to the next page, we're out of page numbers now. Sexual harassment discrimination policy prevention. You see, you have 1 through 5. Number 1, this is basically talks about who is covered by the policy. The second is that it's clear that it's unacceptable in all forms, harassment, discrimination. Number 3, that's protection from retaliation, and it explains how to act if someone is a victim of retaliation. Number 4, it's basically saying 0 tolerance to harassment, and there will be consequences. And then number 5 talks about a confidential investigation that would be conducted if there is such a complaint. That's that page, and it kind of finishes on the next. Then go into the following page. Number 6, how to make a formal complaint, that's outlined there. Also says that managers must report any complaint received. That's duplicated in many places. It's very clear. And then number 7, the policy applies to all, not just employees, but all subcontractors, consultants, etc. And we must provide the policy to all employees. That's listed there as well. What is sexual harassment? Basically, it's clear that it's on the basis of sex, sexual orientation, self-identified or perceived sex, gender expression, gender identity, and the status of being transgender. It also talks about the second paragraph, gender diversity, explains that. And then the last one, it talks about when sexual harassment becomes unlawful. Mostly here when it subjects an individual to inferior terms, conditions, or privileges of employment. Does not need to be severe to be unlawful. Next page. The end of this, what is sexual harassment? It talks about what the intent is. Oh, I'm sorry. The intent does not nullify a harassment claim, meaning if you were joking, doesn't matter. It talks about the conditions of sexual harassment, interferes with someone's work, depends explicitly on employment, depends upon accepting, decisions regarding employment based upon accepting or rejecting. And then down it says the 2 main types of sexual harassment, hostile work environment, as well as trading job benefits for sexual favors. The next paragraph there where it says any employee or covered individual, that is just an encouragement to report anyone that witnesses or experiences it. Then it jumps down to examples of sexual harassment, physical acts of a sexual nature, unwanted sexual comments, next page. Subtle or obvious unwelcome activities, repeated requests for dates, etc. This also includes sexual-oriented gestures, noise, remarks, jokes, questions, or comments about someone's sexuality, sexual stereotyping, sexual discrimination, discriminatory displays or publications anywhere in the workplace or on your computer, hostile actions taken. Then the section at the bottom, who can be a target of sexual harassment. Basically, harassers can be anyone in the workplace. Then at the bottom, it talks about biases, and it gives you examples on the next page. Different demands on someone of color, immigration status, past experience as a survivor of domestic or sexual violence. The next paragraph where it begins, individuals bring personal history. That just helps the reader understand the impact on the victims. Where can sexual harassment occur? The workplace, on travel, calls, texts, emails, or social media, even remotely from home. You can commit this or be a victim of it. Retaliation, the first paragraph defines retaliation. The next are examples. You see all those examples of retaliation, may include but not limited to. The last paragraph basically states that retaliation is unlawful under federal, state, and local laws where applicable. Specifies that. Next page, it refers to protected activity, and it occurs when someone makes a complaint, they testify or assist in a proceeding of a matter like this, they oppose sexual harassment or discrimination verbally, if they report another employee, or they're encouraged a fellow employee to report harassment. They are protected. The next paragraph, even if alleged harassment, that's protection from retaliation even if the complaint doesn't violate the law. Then we get into reporting sexual harassment. We got 4 paragraphs there. The first, again, supervisors and managers must report. Slow down a little. The next second paragraph, how and where to report. Then who to contact if no response is received. In this case, it will be our staffing services company. Written or verbal complaints are acceptable, and then there are legal protections. At the bottom, supervisory responsibilities. We must report or act, even if they observe something happening, but no formal complaint is filed. Next page, Supervisors and managers can be disciplined for engaging in harassment or for not reporting. Understand the impact of being involved in a complaint, that second paragraph, can be intimidating, uncomfortable, and re-traumatizing. Bystander intervention. Bystanders are encouraged to report. There are 5 methods of intervention: interrupting the harassment, asking a third party to intervene, record or take notes on the harassment, check in with the person who was harassed, confront the harassers if you feel safe. Those are those. Next paragraph, though not exhaustive. Encouraging to report, and it's mandatory for supervisors and managers. Complaints and investigations of sexual harassment. All complaints will be investigated. They'll be kept confidential. Any employee may be required to cooperate as needed in an investigation. And at the very bottom, it's an uncomfortable process and we must maintain sensitivity. The end of that is on the following page. Then we go to the next full page. We do need to decide who will act upon a complaint. I'm assuming myself, unless it involves me, of course.
Mhm.
Any comment there, Lino?
It should be you and then have someone designated if it's other than you.
Right.
So it should go through you.
Designate secondary there. Okay, there's be a prompt review. Take any interim actions, which could include refraining, insisting an employee refrain communication with someone else. We'll take steps to obtain, review, and preserve documents. We'll seek to interview all parties involved. We'll create written documentation. We'll keep the documents in a secure and confidential location. I'm going 1 through 7 here. Number 6, we'll notify the individuals that the investigation is completed and implement any corrective actions. 7, we'll inform the individuals who reported of the right to file a complaint or charge externally, as outlined below. Then we get into legal protections and external remedies. It's not just prohibited by us, but prohibited by state, federal, and again, applicable local laws. In the bottom paragraph, one may pursue legal remedies, so it talks about that. Next page, complaints to the New York State Division of Human Rights. First paragraph, that covers all New York State employers and employees. Second paragraph, it explains a timeline to report within 3 years of the alleged behavior. Jumping down to 4, you don't need an attorney to file a complaint. Number 5, there will be an investigation. Number 6, it tells you where the contact is. 7, it tells you how to register an online complaint. Number 8, paragraph 8, talks about the sexual harassment hotline and the number there. Then in the bottom section, the United States Equal Opportunity Commission, it refers to Title VII, says there's 300 days of report, we'll investigate, we'll seek voluntary settlement with the employer, and if they cannot do so, they may file a lawsuit. On to the next page, second paragraph, individuals may obtain relief in mediation, settlement, or conciliation. I'm not sure about this one, it does say this, again, second paragraph, third sentence, in general, private employers must have at least 15 employees to come within the jurisdiction of the EEOC. We don't, so I'm not sure about that one. I think that might be something.
Private?
Yeah, because it does say. I still think we are a private employer. That's another one we have to ask. One, two, three, fourth. Talks about a charge of discrimination, if they like. And then the fourth paragraph, human rights complaint automatically triggers a complaint filing with the EEOC. Second section, local protections. Individuals should contact county, city, or town to find out if a law exists, if there are any local applicable laws. It does say where to report if you're a New York City employee for whatever reason. Next is contact the police department. If the harassment involves unwanted physical touching, physical coercion, then it may constitute a crime. Next is conclusion, basically restates the intent and the basis for discrimination. At the very bottom, it talks about sexual harassment complaint form. That's what the next couple of pages are. Outlines it. Down at the bottom, number 1, who do you believe has violated the policy? Number 2, describe what happened. Number 3 on the next page, provide specific dates. Number 4, name and contact of any witnesses or someone who may have information. Number 5, have you previously complained or provided information in the past? Then, if you've retained legal counsel, have them sign and date. Next, we get to the drug-free and alcohol-free workplace. This is something you and I talked about, Linda, in addition to COVID, which we'll get to. First paragraph is the intent. It's to protect IDA employees and property. Does talk about the unauthorized use, abuse, solicitation, theft, possession, etc. of controlled substances, including medical marijuana. So this may be something we want to ask about, Linda. Happy to confirm any of this, but doesn't just have to be on the premises, but when someone is conducting IDA business or representing the IDA, this conduct is prohibited. Further down in the second paragraph of this section, a sentence starts, however, this exception does not extend any right to report to work under the influence of medical marijuana or to use medical marijuana as a defense to a positive drug test. So you can't report to work under the influence, and medical marijuana is included in that. And then the last thing that does not apply to responsible drinking of alcohol at business meetings and related social gatherings. Phew. Violation of this policy will result in disciplinary action. It's that. Next page. We're getting there. First paragraph basically says we'll try to accommodate individuals with substance abuse and dependencies. We do have employee assistance through our staffing services company, and in this paragraph, employees are encouraged to seek help as necessary. You see the section that he added. You can use cannabis outside of work, but you can also be dismissed if it affects performance and seen if there's anyone under the influence. Workplace violence, this is all still there. Intent, don't take matters in your own hands, give signs of mental crises, threats not tolerated in specific kinds of behavior. Next page is reporting. It's a short page there, so just a paragraph on reporting. It should be reported immediately. Reports will be confidential and will be promptly investigated. Next page, reproductive health. Not making any changes to that. This is existing. Next page, operational policies, employee classifications. It just defines full-time employees and exempt and non-exempt, with exempt being salaried employees. Talks about a trial period of 60 days. Employee service credit, length of service. This isn't where it says it, but it does say somewhere that what's your length of service on 1/1 of that year. Employment records refers to that.
Heading
Yes.
in blue must be added, and most of the verbiage was existing.
All of it was existing, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that blue was a little confusing. Those headings were existing.
Oh, okay, got it.
If I can tell when he added one. There was an example, but like where he added ADA. Yeah, it would still have the blue underline on it. If it would be in blue and underlined in blue if it was added.
Oh, okay, okay.
So operational policy section 2, I'm continue to fly through that. Trial period 60 days, length of service for PTO, your employment records. This was added at the end of employment records. Representatives of government or law enforcement agencies in the course of their duties may be allowed to access the file information, especially with FOIL that applies to us and such. Working hours and schedule, timekeeping, overtime. It does say that any non-exempt employee who works overtime will be compensated at the rate of 1.5 times their normally wage in excess of 40 hours. So we do have an overtime policy. Kelly and I are exempt employees. Marty is non-exempt, so it does apply to her. Employees may only work overtime with prior management approval. Moving on to 2-8, travel time. Non-exempt employees will be compensated for travel. Paid for all travel, 1-day assignment and greater. Local traveling from one site to another can be compensated. Commuting time does not count from home to work, work to home, non-compensable. Safe harbor policy. We must accurately compensate employees. And it states here that exempt employees will receive a salary. Next page. The deductions are outlined on this page. Again, no changes except towards the bottom. The report will be promptly investigated. If an improper deduction is made, it's how to report to supervisor. Next is your paycheck, which goes on to the next page. Not sure why some of these just have little text on it, but we'll clean that up in the final version. Pay stubs will differentiate between regular pay and overtime. Direct deposit, we're encouraged to do so. Performance review, we endeavor to review performance annually, like the way that's written, but we do try and do it. Encourage employees and supervisors to discuss job performance frequently and ongoing. Job postings, requirements to qualify for open positions are listed. Must complete an application. It says that. Next page. This was job postings crossed out, disciplinary action added. We expect employees to comply. There's a policy of progressive discipline where there's notification of deficiencies, opportunity to improve. And we retain the right to administer discipline in any manner. Blank page. Section 3, benefits, 3-1, benefits overview, all the same. Most of you have looked at this. Paid holidays, this is something that I would like to come back to. Juneteenth he added. I will say that the county, who we've often modeled this after, they added June 19th, but they removed, if you remember, it's Veterans Day, or one of the President's Days. So this is one of the things that we do.
Oh, they have Lincoln and Washington still in here compared to President's Day.
Well, he's crossed out,
It's a page before.
oh, page before, yeah.
No, election day, I think, isn't it? Like the county stuff.
I think they kept that. Is that what you think it is, Election Day?
I can go look.
I don't
I have to
think
check that.
it's lined out.
It's not.
It's
Just
not.
in the description, in the paragraph below.
Here, look.
Oh,
Yeah, right. And he's taken out those individual days and put
For the
presidents.
President's Day.
Right.
so this should be changed on the page before, right under
You're right.
3.2.
Should.
Yeah, should.
I know, well, it's something,
What is it?
You said write down the days you work, right?
so on the previous page where it's, you're looking at it, cross out Lincoln's birthday and Washington's birthday. But we do have President's
They were
Day.
good presidents, I tell you.
So there are, I don't know if you want to discuss this now or later, but crossing those out, 1, 2, 3. Good Friday was added by a former administrator many years ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's 15, including half days for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, day after Thanksgiving, and adding Juneteenth. So that's something that,
So we're taking away the Washingtons, but are we putting in President's Day?
yes, I just
Because
added
that's not
that.
added in.
2 to 1.
So when I'm sorry, finish. Are you, when you say election day, what is it, what election? Any election, just election?
The
Presidential?
yeah, it's
Just
Your
presidential?
the
November
first
election.
Tuesday in November. right.
November, yeah.
That one.
Every year.
Yes, every year, correct. Again, the counties do that for sure, so, but I'm open to any of these. If you wanna table this, discuss it at the end, or in the future, or wanna get into it now. For example, if you wanna assign me to do any research, looking at other comparable agencies, however you wanna handle that. But that's how it is right now. I'll keep moving unless you stop me. Paid time off, it explains PTO. Keep going to lactation breaks. Paid lactation breaks will not reduce or impair any other paid breaks. So we added that language. Also, gave a URL for DOL language, workers' comp, jury duty leave. He did add something, now I'm getting to the page that has 3-7 on it, witness leave at the top. Above that, in blue, that's the language he added. Basically, that will pay non-exempt employees the applicable daily jury fee or the employee's wage, whichever is lower, for the first 3 days of jury service. The rest are the same for witness leave, bereavement, voting, and insurance programs. Keep moving here. Going to 3-11, statutory short-term disability, that didn't change, nor did salary continuation, or the employee assistance program I referenced before. Now to leaves of absence, military leave stayed the same, family military leave in there, and then he added FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, which has been new law around, complies with federal FMLA, requiring employees to grant unpaid leave of absence to qualified workers for certain medical and family-related issues. Also state family leave, state paid family leave, talks about, that's existing. So moving through, entitlement, PFL benefits. He did remove one line, leave may not be taken for the following reasons: for a mother, birth mother's pregnancy or prenatal conditions, that's been removed. So you can be, take leave for that, which is understandable. Now I'll go through a series of sections here that have not changed: definition of serious health condition, use of leave, employee responsibilities, job benefits and protection, leave concurrent with FMLA, questions about PFL. Then down to section 4-4, parental leave. The next section is 4-5, as I alluded to. This is a coronavirus response. That's been omitted. Again, Linda, that's something you and I talked about. So those next couple of 2.5 pages are removed. I think COVID is a little bit later, though. New York sick leave. Basically, he removed the effective date on it. And there is a little note here. I don't know if it is on yours, right? Research this. All private sector employees in New York State are covered, regardless of industry, occupation, part-time status, overtime. Federal, state, and local government employees are not covered. This is where we're in that limbo, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out exactly what you are.
Exactly.
Probably thinking you're more of the government as opposed to private, so we're gonna have to look at that.
Yep. Okay. Next page, use of leave. Employees may accrue leave. Talks about sick leave and safe leave, which is when the employee or employer's family member has been the victim of domestic violence. You see this whole section, employees may use sick leave for the following purposes. He's eliminated that. Bottom of that page is rate of pay. Next page, we get into confidentiality, records, no retaliation, job protection, all untouched. For further information, he has the New York paid sick leave URL there. Then we have COVID leave. Your job's protected on paid leave to workers who are subject to a mandatory or precautionary order of quarantine or isolation by COVID-19 issued by the state, the Department of Health, local board of health, or any government entity duly authorized to issue such an order. Next, section 4-7, he's changed it to. Crossed out New York sick, it's domestic violence leave. We'll have to accommodate the need for time off because of domestic violence, as long as it's not a hardship. Such time off is for accommodation of the following needs: medication, medical attention needed, services from a domestic violence shelter needed, obtaining psychological counseling, taking action to increase safety, including temporary or permanent relocation, and obtaining legal services. Next little paragraph on the next page, employee should give reasonable advance notice when possible. Moving on, section 5, general standards of conduct, workplace conduct. This has all stayed the same, just reformatted a little bit. Next page, punctuality and attendance. Again,
No change.
no change. COVID-19 policies. You see the language on this page has been Xed out.
How long are those policies for COVID-19 gonna be in place until July?
I think
Or
most
they-
of,
Or forever?
The actual policies around COVID
Yeah.
have expired.
been lifted, right, the state policies, yeah, so that's why he's
So
taking that into consideration, still having some language in here.
But if there is no more policy statewide for COVID, why do we have a policy for COVID? I'm just out of curiosity.
I think that's up for discussion as well.
There's even the other section that says expires July. By the time this gets out, it's gonna be past July, so why keep it in there? I just think it creates confusion.
One thing that might make more sense, and I don't know if this is being done generally, but if there's a similar instance of health issues by a virus, which there's some suggestion it could happen again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but council will tell you the definition of COVID-19 is very specific.
Yeah.
And this is
so-
actually calling for 14 days. If you've got COVID-19, you'll not be
Yeah.
allowed to report. That is absolutely untrue. If you're asymptomatic, even though you're positive, you can go back to work with a mask. And that's New York State law.
Yeah, this
So
is
I
under the
think
existing.
We're
all right.
basically
You don't have to
done
stay
with
out a
COVID.
couple of-
No, you don't have to say.
It was, they
If
moved
you're
it to 5
symptomatic,
days.
yes, you have to do 5 days. But this is,
Can we leave the part about washing your hands and everything, not to spread? Sneeze.
I mean, it's good
I'm-
hygiene, whatever.
Well, that's more,
We'll post a sign in the back.
yeah.
Yeah,
The company policies, I think these are still,
Yeah, I don't know, I think it creates confusion.
okay, I'll ask about this too.
Awful lot in it.
There is. Okay. So at the bottom of that page, social distancing in the workplace has changed, been removed?
there isn't any.
This all refers to COVID-19.
Yeah, I mean, it just, yes, this was when we were in the pandemic, and then after the
Yes.
pandemic, but now it's done.
Yeah, so I'll question on that.
I will move on.
I'm on the blue pieces here where it talks about wearing a mask, company travel policy, all been removed. Next is section 5-4, use of communications and computer systems. He basically added language that it's, that our systems are used for are to be used for IDA business. Document storage should be for business purposes only. We may monitor online use in voicemails and texts. And then lastly, it says limit personal use of communications, our communication systems. Next is the end of that. Then the use of social media. This stayed the same, except I'm not sure if he meant to make this change. I didn't see this until reviewing it again today. Use of social media, 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph you see in blue there. Equally apply to employee social media usage. I'm not sure what that
I don't want to-
copy is.
Looks like something's missed.
I'll ask him to clarify that. Moving on. At the top, employees should not use the Orange County IDAs or other trademarks on social media without obtaining permission. He added that. The rest stays the same. Inspections, smoking, personal visits, and telephone calls and cell phone usage.
Just a question on that social media stuff, so
Sure.
if you're reposting an IDA tweet, or like a Facebook, you're always posting stuff,
Yeah.
and you repost that, you need to ask for permission to do that, or share it?
Are you doing it on your personal social?
No, but I mean, yeah,
Because really, this talks about really, again, within the IDA, using their social media platform, so, I mean, if you're on your personal social media and you're taking something from the IDA and posting it that way, is that what you're trying to control? That's, because there's some policies that talk about that as well.
So on Facebook,
Right.
many times, the IDA's got a post.
Mhm.
And if there's a share button, if we want the word to get out, I'll share it. Am I not allowed to do that without
We need to
approval?
clarify that.
Yeah, because if you're doing it on your personal Facebook, that needs clarification, if you can like it or not. If you're doing it on your
Wow.
personal time,
You can't say you like one of the IDs.
you better off spelling it out than not.
Yeah, let me clarify this.
yeah, here it doesn't specifically say personal.
No.
Does it?
Yeah.
So it just, because I'm wondering, I just don't wanna break the rules,
Right.
because we repost all the time, when you
Yeah.
post something, we repost.
We
it.
repost all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I mean, I do.
Let me clarify that. Okay, great. Nothing changed on inspection, smoking, I already said that. Cell phone usage, all right, thank you for that question, I will get that. Moving on to 5-10, solicitation distribution, stayed the same. 5-11, confidential company information, basically what he added. Employee who improperly uses or discloses trade secrets or confidential information will be subject to discipline. All increase in media must be referred to, I have CEO in there. Moving on, conflict of interest in business ethics, unchanged.
Just go back to the media. I'll
Yeah.
just add CEO or a CEO's designate, because sometimes you may want counsel to field questions for the media, so you may just want to add that.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
Or is designated by the CEO?
Yep.
Okay. Got it. Okay, I'm over here, just peeking to see if everyone's on the same page, but can help Dr. Oda when he's,
We're over here. Keep going, I think. Yeah, there we are.
okay,
We're right.
down the section added is under professional relationships is what it refers to. Encourage to develop professional relationships that don't affect with the workplace. Doesn't prevent friendships or even romantic relationships, but it does establish boundaries. And it talks about before developing a relationship, consider the potential for gossip, conflict of interest, sexual harassment, favoritism, repercussions of a breakup, work distraction. Employees who engage in consensual romantic relationships must conduct themselves in an appropriate and professional manner while on company property. It does talk, the next page talks about inappropriate behaviors, kissing, prolonged hugging, hand-holding, massaging, personal texting, emails, and calls. The next paragraph, romantic relationships between managers and their employees are not permitted. The next one. Next paragraph, failure to comply with this fraternization policy may result in termination, transfers, or voluntary resignation. That's it for that page.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next, health and safety unchanged, same for employee dress. Publicity statements of the media and business expense reimbursement all staying the same. Next page, 5-18 references untouched. Also, if you must leave us, and a few closing words. And then the next page, just about at the end here, is general handbook acknowledgement. You see he added these additional attestations. Let you check those out. Next is the place for signatures. And confirm the receipt of the non-harassment policy, unchanged. Receipt of sexual harassment policy, unchanged. Definitions of retaliation, reporting procedures, investigation procedures. On the legal protections, external remedies. State human rights law. Civil Rights Act of '64, local protections, contact the police, it's everything.
If you need to add a holiday that allows the employee time to meet us.
About it.
Hey, time on.
So I have a couple of questions. Or
Sure,
we'll do this now.
please. Yeah, yes.
The state monies that we use, do we have any state dollars that support?
No,
We don't. We have
No.
any federal dollars? that
outside
support?
of grants
No.
that are for special projects, not to fund the
All
idea.
right, my only concern is on the federal world, the president has acknowledged that there are only two genders. And we have genders listed here
Yes.
very specifically. I would tend to think that you wanna keep them as benign as possible instead of using all the genders. There's another place that says regardless of immigration status. I think that is absolutely inappropriate if you're doing an I-9 form. You're checking whether the papers are appropriate or not, so I don't believe it's regardless of immigration status. We're not going to hire someone who's undocumented, I would have to think.
Okay,
So you might wanna rethink what's in that.
Thank you for bringing that up. I had the same concerns. How does that coincide with what's happening federally?
yep.
Do we even know yet? I mean, we know what he did, that we know.
No,
but-
it's removed.
So I don't understand that, but I don't know if New York or counties have different, I don't know. Doesn't matter to me.
My firm belief has always been, when you're even talking about the issues around marijuana usage, federal law states that it is illegal, period, that's it. It's
Yeah,
not,
good point.
New York State may choose to do what it wants, if the federal government ever chooses to come into the state and check and say, they can
Understand.
just pull plugs. So I get nervous that federal always trumps, no offense with the Trump name, trumps state, and we need to be in compliance.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check in the immigration status too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that there's all the I-9 forms that everybody's got, one of those sitting in there, yeah, so why would you have that language in there?
It's not.
Okay,
I mean, they have to provide identification just to come into work.
We have to have,
Yeah.
I'm so straight, you know, we
Yeah.
have to, you know, saying you have to have
You have to have
that.
two forms of ID.
Government issue.
doctor?
This is on sexual harassment training you mentioned sometimes. Is there an update on that?
Our HR services company has sent emails to each of you, inviting you to participate in an online training. I can help you with that if you haven't seen it or want me to get it to you.
Now, if you have already had the training at the college, what would you do? I mean,
Yes,
I've had.
you have the same, right?
Yeah, just need documentation that you did it.
I had to do it at work too.
Yeah.
If you could provide that, that'll
Same,
cover it.
same,
Yeah, just
same.
provided that's
Terrific.
valid. Right.
Do you need it, just a letter indicating that? Or?
Proof, whatever proof that you've,
Usually get a certification
Yeah.
after you've done it.
yeah, right in there,
Yeah,
certificate.
you get a certificate.
Those
It's
of
gonna-
us that have went through it and did it, did you get notification that we did it?
Did you?
I didn't give my notification, I did it, but I will.
How do you know?
EA did.
Did you get an email back or no?
I did, but I don't know
Yeah.
what they did.
I know the platform
You
you
did.
use,
You might-
the employer is supposed to get a message that you did take, the course.
I
You
took,
get- Right.
I took the.
I don't know what
the law
platform you guys
course,
are
yes,
using.
I
Yeah,
did.
that's
How long
right.
was your?
That's
It's not available.
No,
Hours.
no, no,
2
4
hours.
hours.
Yeah.
Yours was 4 hours?
Yeah, yeah.
I just read fast.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, you don't read, you don't
I
read,
know,
you
videos.
have to go through the videos.
You know, I do it every year, we all have legally, right?
Video and then answer question.
And then you ask the questions, right, when you get the question wrong, then you gotta go back and do the video
Can do it,
again.
exactly.
Any other questions or comments, anything you want me to?
I have a couple.
Sure.
On page 1. No, okay. When it references like, you know, director, or it says, that's you, but also it says Ethan Allen, so we have contracted with Ethan Allen.
We do.
Before, so then with, the attorneys and Ethan Allen, this is what we created, this is
Correct.
both from both. feedback.
Ethan Allen is the one I was referring to at the top of the meeting that has added a lot of stuff that I don't think has been approved. We can't find proof that it's been approved by the board, so that's why we went to revisit it. But they do, again, keep up with laws and everything, and they add language. So Mike Sarvaggi has reviewed all that.
What's that, do we need them with, if the attorney's doing it, or what is their role, is my question, if that. if-
They do our payroll services, they provide any questions we have around HR, or HR hotline, we do call them for questions around that. They provide EAP, employee assistance services as needed. Linda and I started to talk about that too, I do
Okay.
think that's something, no, it's fine, I do think it's something that we should look at
For the future.
as a group, I assume it would be this group.
Just to answer your question, the reason why it went to council is to ensure that we were compliant with federal and state laws. So there were things in here that I knew were absolutely wrong. But I felt better that if we had attorneys
No,
review it.
I-
They're not a law firm, just, you know, they're.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
that's
right,
why
so that's
I-
why, and it's not uncommon to have us as council, whether it's here or anywhere else, look at that.
So other than payroll services, we should still be contacting them, like if somebody has an issue, or should they contact the attorney, I guess? My question is, I mean, I don't know, but, I mean, if we had a
They're kind of
document
acting
that
like our
wasn't.
HR department,
If we had a
so,
document that wasn't that great from them, I mean, I don't wanna, but.
I'm not sure
That's
if it
fine.
wasn't really great from them, I
Mhm.
think that we just didn't get the updates as we should have, and they didn't get before the
Okay.
board as they should
yeah,
have.
that
So I
process
think,
was
as you
going.
said, we don't have an HR department who can manage any, look, we're small, there's not a lot of
That's what I'm
people,
saying,
not a lot
that's
of
my
problems.
point,
The
yeah.
questions, they're tied to payroll, which is important, so if we change how we do payroll, perhaps we can change the rest of it, but
Okay.
as long as it's tied to payroll,
And then, again, I think the election thing. So the election we have off for these, like, then it says you have time off to vote. So what would that be? There's a section in there that says how you have 3 hours off to vote, but if you have election day off.
day off, so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's if
Yes.
you,
Maybe
if you
school
decide to
board
open
election.
for
That's what I'm
election
asking.
day,
I mean, so,
I mean, so those,
I'm good with that.
So
Just curious.
if we
If
took
you-
election day off and
Right,
said
then
that's no
that
longer a
section-
holiday,
right.
then you're required to give 3 hours.
correct, right.
But there may be other elections in between or whatever.
Wait,
I don't
I'm
think
sorry,
those
I
are-
didn't understand
I don't
that.
think
No, no.
those other, if there are other elections like a school board, I don't believe
Yeah,
we
it
are
doesn't cover school
required.
board or like village elections, which are in March. That's
Okay.
Some villages, but.
It's that
You're-
Tuesday in
you're-
November.
Right,
And then when you guys mentioned the, like the social media, whatever, this is the employee handbook. I'm not an employee, I'm a board member. How do I follow it? What is, this all applies to me as well? Obviously, I understand sexual harassment, which is important, whatever, but I mean, the rest of it, I mean, whether social media, if I wanna post something on my social media, because I'm a board member, I have to follow that. I mean, this is an employee handbook. This isn't a board handbook with the county.
right, but there are policies in there that also apply to you as board members. And granted, you're not an employee like, let's say Marty or Kelly, you know, but there are policies in here that you have to follow. And social media would probably be one of those policies that we're just gonna have to, you know, just make sure we're clear on that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, so you're gonna ask me to sign this as well? Somebody's gonna ask me to sign this thing?
Most likely, yeah.
I'm just gonna.
I
think
just
you
voted on it.
In my opinion, my board never signed the employee handbook.
Yeah, I didn't plan on signing it.
But
Some boards do.
we had a board policy handbook that outlined those
Oh,
things,
boy.
so
Never
those,
mind, I'll
those.
sign this one.
Yeah, there was a board policy because as you, but sexual harassment, a board member could be
Right.
held accountable for that. No, we don't get a day off, but there's other things that we as a
Okay.
board,
That's fine.
I'll be working on those policies.
Yeah,
So
Thank
I
you.
got
most
him
of
over
what's in
there.
here does apply to you, but you're right, there's some things that just don't apply as a board member, but if you had to pick and choose, you're probably better off signing this one.
Or you could
That's
put
what
a
I'm saying.
disclaimer
I
on the
wouldn't
front
do
that
that. I
some of
wouldn't
the
do this
policies and
again.
procedures outlined in this
Right.
handbook, you know, aligned with the board of directors.
Want me to sign this?
Not all,
Yeah.
Right.
but some.
Before you change your mind.
Uh-oh, what are we doing?
We're gonna jump to this 1 second.
Mhm.
Is there-
Look at that.
More on the page?
Oh, no, no.
Another one?
Should be one for Giovanni.
This is what's gonna replace your book.
Just one thing before we go to it, the days off, how would you like to address that? Would you like to take a look? Would you like me to get other, compare it with other agencies?
I think so.
I think this is something we really need to talk, I mean, I know how many days off I had in my world, and I'm sure you know how many days you have off in your world. I think it's just something that we should have a discussion about.
Yeah, great.
Future discussion, maybe at the next time we
Yeah,
do
I
this?
think we,
Okay.
I think
It wouldn't
for-
hurt for you to do your investigation.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that we kind of sort of really need to digest this thing.
Is this though, I mean, did those days come off of the previous?
Yeah, this is what we
This is
haven't
previous.
changed it, it is, yeah.
That's what just.
They added-
Juneteenth was added though, but
The attorney did that.
They saw that list and they added
yeah,
one.
and
They saw that list,
they
they added
did, well,
one.
Juneteenth became a national holiday, the county did it, we followed them, and then they removed it, the second year, they removed one of the holidays, so we do need to take a look at it. I'll research the others and, add
This is
to
why
the
I'm
next
very happy to
agenda.
be retired.
Anything else on the personnel policy?
I think if, as we take perhaps a dive into this, there might be more questions that pop up.
Sure.
So if you have a question, if you could just send it to Bill, and if you'd copy me, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, great. I just wanted to, before we end here, and we do have 3 minutes before finance is due to start, Linda, could you just describe what this is? You gave me this format, I'm gonna,
Yes.
yeah, I've started to actually, reformat some of them using that. Staff has really helped me with
Seen
that.
this?
So, and when I saw the book, and I appreciate the amount of time and effort that went into the book, for me, I really try to be efficient and make things easy to understand, and the formats is important. So this is, I won't take credit for this was my format from the health center. We just removed some of the signatures. But this is how every policy should be written. When you update it, it's simple to name the policy if you have to change it. So what you see in your binder will get reduced to this.
But we do have to determine some things on here, like how we group them, right?
Well, I think the grouping is out, I just think that's an organizational thing, I don't think that's.
Okay.
So you're saying like, once this is all, the
Not
book
that
is
one.
finalized?
This one,
Correct, okay, once that's finalized, then if a change comes up, then we'll just.
yes, you'll have a finance policy
redo the
section.
whole thing.
There'll be
Just
sections on, and it's easy to go to.
Remove 4-7 and.
Section.
Yes.
That's fine.
I forgot we had one other thing here. You see on the bottom,
Uh-oh.
under new business. In our application for incentives for the IDA, there was the full application, and at the end, for the last several years, maybe 6 or 7 years, they had a score sheet on there. The score sheet was designed to answer certain questions about the profile of the project, and it basically gave you a score that determined whether or not they qualified for a pilot. So we don't use that if someone's not requesting a pilot. With the new UTEP that we put in place, we specified what incentives go to whom, and we have a very new specific project approval policy that talks about all the things that we consider that go into you weighing your decision on granting incentives or not. So we think that this score sheet is duplicative, first of all, it's redundant, we already have it, and we're concerned that it actually limits the board's leeway to consider the important factors in making decisions. So I'm asking you to recommend to the board, you're okay, to recommend to the board that we remove that piece. We have talked to the council about it, we've talked to our monitor about it. So we'd just like to take that one sheet out. That is in your packet if you want to check it out, your IDA packet.
There's one other old business, we talked about the bylaws for the funding corporation,
Yes.
we need to talk about the bylaws for this organization.
They were also reviewed by
Yes.
council.
Which they
and-
said basically there's nothing that we need to be concerned about, except the
Correct.
things that we need to be concerned about, which
Correct.
are positions within the board that we do not have.
Yes.
So we don't have a vice chair position, so I think we're gonna need to modify these.
We do have vice chair.
I'm
We
not
do have
vice chair, what do we have? What did I
Is
say
it
we don't
assistant
have?
secretary or something
Assistant
in there?
secretary, or whatever the heck that was, let me find it.
And I wasn't aware we were gonna kind of close the door on this, because I do have some things on the IDA bylaws.
I think we're out of time to do that. I think we may have to do that next.
So we're gonna table these?
I think we have to.
Alright, so,
Yeah, well, I understand that, but I'm not gonna agree, we're gonna recommend them to the board for
No.
approval as is,
No
okay.
way.
no,
good.
this cannot, we're,
Yeah.
the IDA, there's work that still needs to be done on these, so can I just ask a favor? Can the committee members go through the bylaws for the IDA, find the things that you think are incorrect or things that need to be changed, and if you can get them to Bill and I, then we can put them together, red line, perfect.
Green?
We can, green line copy is fine too, so that we at least can have a dialogue at the next meeting, and make those recommended changes. There are changes that need to be done to these.
And I'm not clear, are we asking the board to make the change on the score?
Application, yes. So
Yes,
I'm
on
looking
score.
A
for
motion?
your a motion and a vote
I'll
on
make that motion to
that.
do
To
so.
recommend to the board, removing the score sheet from our application.
So that's my, so exhibit E will no longer, that is what.
Is that what it says on there? I forgot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a score, that's
Correct.
it.
Removing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion. We voting on it here, right?
Are you gonna vote on it?
To
there?
recommend
To
to the full
recommend it.
board.
Recommend
full
here,
board.
right.
We'll make the recommendation then.
Do we need a
We gotta
motion?
vote.
We need-
Yeah,
we have
just
a
gotta
motion.
make
Oh, I got one and two. Okay, any discussion on the
Usually
motion?
this slow.
Okay,
Aye.
alright,
Aye,
boy,
aye,
talk about jumping ahead, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, okay, and we need a motion to adjourn,
Also move.
I'll second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Done.
That was Jeff Giovanni, Marty.
Yeah.
Super. At 4:01. So we're adjourned. We did.